In this video, we'll talk about two really important things to keep in mind in all your trades. The first is how to look at news, rumors, or news events. And the second is the state of mind you must be in to be open to what the market is sharing with you. Now, for this example, I'll share a trade I did with Bitcoin against WTI crude oil. Now, that might surprise you that you can actually trade Bitcoin against other assets. And the platform that I use for this is actually linked below in the description. It is an affiliate link. One thing I like about this platform is that you can trade Bitcoin against other commodities. So for instance, you can trade against Forex, you can trade against stocks, you can trade against indices, you can also trade against commodities. And your profit and loss is in Bitcoin. You can go short or long, and you can also trade with leverage. I'll do another video on using this platform and why, if you are interested in trading other markets, especially against Bitcoin, this is a good platform to use. And this is actually a good point here as we jump back to the chart. You'll see on the chart here, I have what I typically have on a lot of my charts. I have value channels drawn both on a diagonal and a horizontal basis. And I've been trading off these same value channels for the last couple weeks against WTI crude oil, both in Bitcoin and the US dollar. And I should mention that much of what I cover here on YouTube and in my training does cover the crypto market. But a lot of what I cover is foundational. I'd say 80 to 90% of the stuff that I actually cover is foundational trading concepts that cross over beyond the crypto market. And I think what you'll find as you get experience in the crypto market, as you have the ability to pull capital from the crypto market, is the crypto market is very volatile, it's very emotional, and when you are able to successfully pull capital from the crypto market, you'll, I just think, naturally jump to other markets to apply those same fundamentals. So I do trade other markets. I will be probably covering a little bit more of that here on the channel and in my training. But the same fundamentals, the same things that I teach in my training that I cover here on YouTube, I'm using to trade these other markets. These are value channels. You'll see as I talk about this trade how the value channels hold up, how the other things that I talk about and I cover really are fundamental trading systems that work across markets. And let's start talking about that by jumping into this particular trade and why it's really illustrative of how to interpret the news, how to think about the news, and the other point of having a complete open mind. So on this trade, it was 622, and this big green bar that you see here, it was a Friday. And there was news that was supposed to be announced. It was by OPEC. And here's the most important thing I can share about news that I wish I learned really early on within trading or my trading career, is that the news, or what the news is, really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how it's interpreted. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. It actually doesn't even matter what you think about it. The only thing that really matters, the only thing that you really need to know about the news is when did that news come out, or when is it going to come out, and then how is the market reacting to that. That's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter what the news is, and I'll share this trade here, and this will be very clear. So it was a Friday, and there was news that OPEC was going to announce something. And it was about increasing production and supply. And if we go to the 1 hour chart, I was actually watching this on the 15-minute, but if we actually go to the 1 hour chart, the initial news that came out was that OPEC was going to increase supply. And you would think, well, if that happens, if supply is increased, let's just say that we're an economist, then the price would probably go down. And that's initially what I saw in price action. So my first position started here, and I was short. So I started on a short position here. And as I was watching price action, as price action was unfolding, I realized that I was a little early. And let me restate the last point I just made. And I can't state this enough. In the crypto market, any market, there's news, there's rumors. It doesn't matter what it is. It literally doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the market reaction to that. And let's just take a step back. And I do this, I take these tangents every now and then. I know this in these videos. What are we looking at here? This is a chart. You're probably saying it's a chart. I get it. What does it represent? It represents price action. It represents the price and the interactions between buyers and sellers over a time period. But I would say the better way to look at it is that it represents the emotions of the market. And your ability, or what you should always be trying to do, is understanding what is the market telling you. What are the emotions of the market? These emotions are greed, fear, their future plans, their expectations, their interpretations of the news. They're all of that. But all you really care about when news hits or a rumor hits is what is the interpretation, or what is the market telling you, I should say. What are the emotions of the market telling you? So when this news dropped here, if we go back to the 1 hour, my first look at it was that the market was telling me that whatever the news was, because once again, I didn't care what the news is. The only thing that you need to know is when was the news expected. I kind of had an idea when the news was going to be dropped. And then I was watching the market and seeing how is the market reacting. And I initially went short because I saw weakness from the initial reaction. But as time went on, as the hours went on, and let me scroll in here. On this bar here, this second bar here, I closed my short position at a loss, and I went long within a minute. Because what I saw as I was watching price action unfold in the 15-minute and really watching the market is that there was not weakness. The sellers were not maintaining control of the market, and it looked like buyers were actually stepping into the market. And I remember it distinctly, and I remember realizing that I don't want to be short. I want to be long in this position. And on a dime, basically, and it was less than a minute, I closed my short position and I opened a long position. I actually doubled the leverage on the long position because I was watching the market and I had a little bit more confidence that I wanted to be long more than I had confidence that I wanted to be short. I bring this up not to say that I'm a genius trader, or not to really claim that I'm good or anything like that. Here's the main point I really want you to take away from what I'm sharing here. Number one, the news doesn't matter. It's the interpretation of the market and how the market interprets that news. And then you watching the market and seeing what the market presents to you. And then from that interpretation, you really have the opportunity, especially in markets like this, is do you want to go long? Do you want to go short? Or do you want to stay out of the market? But that all stems from you actually being open and having the ability to change your mind at a moment's notice. I don't talk about this enough, but I think one of the biggest pitfalls that new traders have is that they are not, or they don't have the ability to change their mind instantly when the market tells them otherwise. Here, and it took me a while to get to this, so I'm not saying that I was day one trading this way, but here I was short, and for these next couple hours, I did feel it was going to break down, and it was going to break this support and actually fall down to this actual support level. I thought it was going to hit this value channel line right here that you see here. But as I was watching the market, I was interpreting strength. I was interpreting that actually the sellers had actually ran out and the buyers were starting to potentially take over the market. And that's when I instantly went long on this bar, which was my confirmation bar. And I actually did just my exit on this trade was a trailing stop loss. I did not set a target. I just rode this up as a trailing stop loss. So as it was up, I actually have my stop down here. I did move my stop up once it hit here. Part of that is I went on vacation between. Like I put this trade on about an hour and a half before I took off to the airport to go on vacation. So I probably shouldn't have been trading it, but I did see the opportunity to actually do a trade, and I thought it would be a quick scalp. And that quick scalp actually worked out because it actually worked out to a longer trade because I just put in a tighter stop loss here. Instead of being way down here in my stop loss, I actually put a tighter stop loss. But it actually worked out pretty well because price just kept rising. And I eventually did get an exit way over here. So here's where my exit came in. So it was not a bad trade. I mentioned this, two things. This is not to show, once again, that I'm a master trader. The two things that I would really suggest you take away if you're taking notes on this video is that the news, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. It doesn't matter what the interpretation is. It doesn't even matter what you think about it. Because I'd say, illogical mind would say, well, OPEC said that they're going to increase their production. Why isn't the price going down? Now, of course, it takes time to ramp up production and all that stuff, but it didn't matter. I have to watch the market and see how the emotions of the market is interpreting and seeing if the market is presenting with me to me an opportunity to pull capital from the market. And I saw an opportunity that the market was presenting to me to pull capital from the market. I'll share another example here from the last day, and this is BAT/BTC Binance. We're looking at the 1 hour time frame. And this actually popped up on my scanner here. And this is before the news even broke. Maybe there was some pre-rumors here, or maybe I just caught it really early. But on my scanner, there was a volume spike here. And I started watching BAT. And what I was watching for was confirmation that this actual price action here was breaking across this high. So it was already breaking out of consolidation. And I was looking for confirmation of that. This wasn't quite confirmation. This wasn't quite confirmation. This wasn't quite confirmation. But I saw this hour as confirmation. Now I was looking at multiple time frames as well. So, but if you look at this in just the hourly, I saw this as confirmation. So I entered a position. I already had positions down here, but I entered another position here, a quick scalp that I expected to be in for 2 to 4 days. And I had an exit right around 18%. Or actually at 18%. I expected to be in this for, like I said, 2 or 4 days. Well, news hit, something about Coinbase looking to add a couple new assets. BAT was one of them. And I was out of that trade within an hour. Now, I shared this in Discord, and this is where you're not looking to interpret the news. You're just looking for the emotionality and the reaction to the market. This is the reaction that the market had right here to that news. You could say all this, maybe there was some pre-news in here, but this whole run, you could say, was reaction to the news. So what I shared in Discord is what you should be watching for is, does 50% of this value hold up? And if 50% of this value holds up and the market proves to you that it holds up, this might be another good scalping opportunity. And that's what I did. I actually, 2 of my 3 positions did get picked up overnight here, because I was looking for, and I will share that I just put in positions right around this range before I went to sleep, and they did get picked up, and I'm still up, I think, right around 8%, 8 to 9% on these positions, mainly because my expectation is that the people that missed this first move are waiting for a pullback to buy in, and I did expect that there would be some support at that level. And we are seeing that unfold right now. The question that we're asking, based on this news, we know when the news was announced. It was yesterday. We see the emotional reaction of the market. And we see the first wave is this wave. This would be the second wave, what I would consider the second wave of activity. It's more like this is the second wave activity. What I'm looking for now is how is this wave going to react? Are buyers going to continue to enter the market, or are they going to break down and are the sellers going to take control? And one thing I'll be watching for, and most likely I will exit a lot of my positions, or at least half of my positions I'd say, is if this actual line here, this red line, which is the actual volume profile line of this time frame, if this is broken, and broken with, I would say, conviction, then I would consider getting out of all these positions for just a small gain. We're talking about 3 or 4%. I could potentially wait, and that's why I'd say I'd exit half of these positions. I'd keep half of them in, and then I would look for support to potentially be kicked in if this range here is broke, and then people are buying, quote unquote, the base break or the support break. I'd be looking for maybe a bounce here and then look for potentially consolidation. But once again, I'm reading the emotion of the market. I know when the news was announced, I'm expecting that the reaction that we're seeing from the buyers and sellers is based on this news, but I'm not trying to interpret what the news means. What would one interesting thing that could unfold here, and this is why you have to be open, is that if you see a complete breakdown and these sellers take over the market, we just see a big red bar, I don't need to look and see what the news is. The market's telling me that there's been a breakdown of confidence that there's still an opportunity to make capital in this trade. So I should get out of that trade. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what my feelings is. It doesn't matter what, unless I have some fundamental reason. But I don't trade a lot of fundamentals in this market. I trade emotions. And a lot of the things that, I can say this unequivocally, the things that I teach in the fundamentals, they work across all markets because the chart represents the emotions of the buyers and sellers. If you get good at reading the emotions of the buyers and sellers, the markets will open up to you. I can't stress that enough. That's really what you're reading here. That's yes, there's algorithms, there's computers, there's everything else, but all of those are in the same bucket of a huge emotional goo is the way to look at it. Everything here is wrapped up in greed and fear, and I've talked about this before in this video, but that's what we're looking at here. I can't stress that enough. So that's what I'm watching for right now. We're starting to see potential on this hour at least. We have about 15 minutes left on this hour. Potentially buyers are potentially stepping up, and we want to see follow through here and then a breakthrough of this next price. I'm still going to exit right at this value channel because I'm looking for a quick scalp trade. I'm playing the ranges here. I'm not looking for a longer term position. I'm playing the ranges. I'm not moving my stop loss. I do have other positions lower here that are still that are still there and I have not take profit on. So I am riding some of these bigger positions that are down below that are longer term. But these trades that I'm talking about right here are just scalp trades. I'm looking just to make 17 to 18% and to get out. And to get out as quick as possible. So that's what I'm looking for these positions. I just share this just because this is another good example of not interpreting the news and watching the market, looking at the emotion of the market, and making my assessment based on what the market's telling me. You should be doing the same in your trading. Develop a system and develop yourself so you have this ability. It's not just a system, it's developing yourself so you have this ability. The news thing is relatively simple. It's relatively simple to just say, here's when the news is supposed to drop, or here's when the rumor is going to drop, or here's the rumor just dropped. Let me watch the reaction. That's simple. The harder part is being able to change your mind when the market tells you otherwise. That's the harder part. That's something to work on. So if you haven't really solidified that in your own trading system, that's something I highly suggest that you work on. So really these two things are critical in developing in your own trading system. Now down below in the description, you'll see links to the Discord group. You also see a link to the document that I put together, a primer on trading cryptos. I do have a crypto trading training. If you're interested in that, join the Discord group and send me a direct message, and I'll share information on how you can get started with that. Definitely subscribe here on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.